Deal with Jeff Snyder.
What's the deal with AFI Fest, which just wrapped up a really strong year, thanks to what multiple people have told me was its best lineup in years. We already covered the opening night film, A Most Violent Year, in last week's episode, and it definitely kicked off the festival the right way, but I saw 4 other movies at AFI this week: Inherent Vice, The Gambler, Selma, and American Sniper, and reaction was kind of wildly different to all of them, so we're going to do some speedy reviews for you so that you guys can adjust your expectations for December. Inherent Vice I saw on Saturday night, and honestly, I was pretty disappointed. I never really got into this movie. I love Paul Thomas Anderson with all my heart, and I am kind of genetically disposed to enjoying a stoner detective comedy. But yeah, I really just could not get on board with this movie. I liked Joaquin Phoenix. I liked the performances, Josh Brolin, Catherine Waterston. But yeah, it was just way too confusing. It's based on a Thomas Pynchon novel. I think it's the first adaptation of his work. And I never really felt like Paul Thomas Anderson had a handle on it. The movie's gorgeously photographed. The music's really good. It definitely feels like a 70s movie. You know, it does a good job relaying that kind of environment and atmosphere or whatever, but just the entire central mystery I could not get on board with, and ultimately Inherent Vice is a pretty big disappointment. I don't really see it as an awards player this year. Monday night I saw The Gambler, which fared a little bit better. Mark Wahlberg basically stars as an English professor who gets in over his head and in debt to the wrong people, including Michael K. Williams from Boardwalk Empire and John Goodman. Those two guys are great. Wahlberg himself is good, but I didn't really buy him as an English professor. You know, you can't just slap a pair of glasses on and call yourself a college professor. There's a nice little interplay with him and Brie Larson, who plays one of his students, but ultimately she's not given enough to do. Jessica Lange has a couple really good scenes as Mark Wahlberg's mother. I buy him as a guy with a death wish who doesn't really care if he lives or dies. I don't know that Rupert Wyatt really captured the highs and lows of being a gambler. I felt like when he was winning, it didn't really matter. And I also thought that Rupert Wyatt delivered a bit of a cop-out ending. You know, the end is kind of a montage set to M83, and I feel like you could slap that music over the end of Dumb and Dumber 2 and call it a profound movie. It doesn't necessarily make it so. So yeah, it kind of was disappointing for me, but I think that it's the sort of movie that my parents would enjoy. The next night I saw a great doubleheader of Selma and American Sniper. We'll start with American Sniper, which stars Bradley Cooper as Chris Kyle, the most deadly sniper in U.S. military history. Clint Eastwood directed the film, which co-stars Sienna Miller as his wife. Again, some people have compared this movie to The Hurt Locker, which is kind of pure sacrilege in my mind. I love The Hurt Locker. I think it's a total masterpiece. This movie kind of didn't tell me anything new about war. I liked it. It was enjoyable. And again, it's the sort of movie that my parents will go see on Christmas Day. But I don't know. There were some cool, combat scenes, some really neat sniper sequences. But ultimately, it's the same story that we've seen in just countless recent movies of, Bradley Cooper comes home and he's having trouble adjusting to life back in the States. Again, Bradley's good. Sienna Miller's good. Bradley gained like 40 pounds for this role, but no one in the supporting cast stands out. The movie's gotten a lot of good reviews for like a big fight at the end that takes place in the middle of this sandstorm, and it's gorgeously photographed and everything, but you can't see anything. I mean, it's almost like you do a sandstorm to cover up the fact that you've run out of money or something, or it was a waste. It just felt like a waste, and so that was another letdown. I had really high expectations for American Sniper. The one movie that did not disappoint on any level was Ava DuVernay's Martin Luther King movie Selma, which stars David Oyelowo. He was amazing. I thought he was just fantastic, and I think he's a shoo-in for an Oscar nomination. The film chronicles MLK's, leading this march from Selma, Alabama to the state capitol in Montgomery. Along the way, he clashes with the local cops, Governor George Wallace, played by Tim Roth, and also matches wits with the President of the United States, Lyndon B. Johnson, played by Tom Wilkinson. The movie's shot by Bradford Young, who also shot A Most Violent Year. I thought it had some gorgeous imagery. It's a really powerful movie. And you could sense that power in the room. The movie got a standing ovation on Tuesday night, and it was the only movie that I saw at AFI that got a standing ovation. I think that this one is going to be a major player across the board. I don't know, if any supporting performances stood out. I mean, Tom Wilkinson was excellent as LBJ, and I really like Stephen James as a young protester, one of the leaders of the civil rights movement. But again, this movie is David Oyelowo's through and through. I thought he did a really good job of capturing Dr. King's essence and his spirit. The speeches are really well done. I mean, it was a total triumph. So I think Paramount has something special on its hands. And I think last year, you know, with 12 Years a Slave, people had to drag their friends and family to see that movie. It wasn't something that people were sort of excited about going to see. It was a movie that we had to see out of necessity. And it rightfully won the Best Picture award. But I do feel like Selma is sort of like the Black Lincoln in a sense. I think it's going to be I think it's going to do real commercial business. So yeah, look for that to be a major contender this award season. The Inherent Vice and The Gambler, don't think that they really have much going on. Maybe John Goodman gets a supporting nomination. He really was excellent as the heavy and gets some great monologues. And American Sniper, I think, is also going to be an uphill battle for Warner Brothers to wage. So that'll do it for this week's What's the Deal? You know, you can follow me on Twitter at @TheInSnyder, and thanks for reading TheWrap.com.
What's the Deal with Jeff Snyder?